Hello there everybody, it is me XfreezerBunny and welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. So today we are building a reimagined version of the Goth Manor in The Sims 4. The Goth family is probably one of the most iconic households in the Sims franchise. We've had them since the very first Sims games, and I think my favorite iteration of the Goth house is probably the one from The Sims 2 because I played with that one the most probably, but I also have very fond memories of the Sims 3 version as well because of the open world aspect of The Sims 3. The Goth house opened out directly to the graveyard in Sunset Valley, which is pretty amazing if I do say so myself. So yeah, this is my own version. I've seen quite a few really amazing interpretations of the Goth house, and I've always wanted to make my own version, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. There's like some pretty amazing versions out there in the community. I decided to go for a little bit more of a, I guess, realistic vibe because I noticed that a lot of people did more kind of like whimsical, quirky versions of the Goth house, which I really appreciated. But for this particular version, I did decide to go for kind of maybe a bit more formal and a bit more of a serious vibe. This house was actually inspired by a real house called Chateau-sur-Mer in Newport. And if you guys watch the Gilded Age period drama, is actually Mrs. Astor's house in Newport, which Bertha Russell sneaks into in one of the episodes in the first season. It's really funny actually, but as soon as I saw that house, I fell in love with the simplicity and with the proportions. I am not a huge fan of the Second Empire style, which, if you didn't know, is a kind of like third quarter of the 19th century style of architecture that is inspired by French architecture, which is why these houses have mansard roofs, but also has a lot of components that are basically identified with the Victorian style, which in the case of the Second Empire style is the center tower, which, unlike the Queen Anne style, which usually has a corner tower, generally Second Empire style houses have a center tower instead. But I have seen ones that also have a tower that's off center, but I think typically it does have a center tower. And yeah, this house is greatly inspired by the Chateau-sur-Mer in terms of its simplicity and proportions, but I also wanted to reference the Goth house in The Sims 2, which, as I mentioned earlier, is my favorite version, because that one also gave me kind of like Second Empire vibes, which the other houses didn't really give me that. So yeah, I was trying to avoid making this look like a haunted house. As much as I really enjoyed those other interpretations of the Goth house, I don't really see them living in haunted houses personally. But I do see them as old money, you know, old wealth, and I definitely wanted to give them a more dignified, formal looking house, and I'm really happy with what I came up with. I am reusing the exact same porch that I did for my previous build, the Vanilla Suburban. It's essentially the same except the railings are black. They were white in the other build, and I think other than that, it's the exact same porch. Again, inspired by the Chateau-sur-Mer. I just really love that house. I think it looks so beautiful, and also I really appreciate the simplicity, because I feel like one of the reasons why I am not a huge fan of the Second Empire style is the fact that it tends to be a bit overly decorated in my opinion. So yeah, I think that's why the Chateau-sur-Mer just really captured me. Anyway, I've been working on this build for about 2 months now. I wanted to get this up last week for you guys. Unfortunately, I was very busy with work. Who knew I had more responsibilities now? But yeah, I'm really happy to finally get this up for you guys. I definitely want to start uploading regularly as much as I can, but obviously you don't really know when you're gonna have a packed schedule or when you're gonna have a chill week. It's kind of a toss-up for my current situation, but I'm really happy that I was able to get this up for you guys this month because I have a couple more builds that I want to put out there. I'm working on a modern high school actually. That one's like 80% done, I want to say, maybe 70% done. Unfortunately, I haven't filmed that, so it's probably going to be more of a house tour kind of thing. Not that different from what I did with my petting zoo build. Because yeah, at this point, I'm so far into that build that I don't want to, have to rebuild it from scratch just to record a speed build for you guys. But yeah, anyway, this house originally started out very boxy. And as you can see, I'm adding in some additions because it was way too small. But this should fit perfectly in the existing lot for the Goth house because I don't know what they were thinking actually, but the Goth house in Willow Creek has a very small lot. I feel like considering how iconic the Goths are, it's weird that they were given such a small lot because I think because they got such a small lot, they didn't give them a graveyard as well, but that might also be because ghosts weren't a thing in the original Sims 4 release. You know, they were a later edition. I actually made a video on that when they patched in ghosts. Maybe that's the reason why the Willow Creek Goth house doesn't have a graveyard, because it's something that I always associate with a Goth house actually, so it's weird. We have that in this house, which is very exciting, you know. Unfortunately, I used the tombstones that didn't come with ghosts, so those are just decorative. It's fine though. Actually, speaking of period dramas, I am currently watching Franklin, and I'm really enjoying it so far, surprisingly. I am usually not crazy about like very serious dramas, especially recently, because I feel like there's just so much negativity out there that, you know, it can really affect your mental health if, you know, you're constantly consuming negative content. But I really enjoy Franklin actually. I'm not sure how historically accurate it is, but I realized that I'm not as bothered about historical accuracy as I once was. I remember back in the day when Bridgerton first came out, I was like, how dare they make this historically inaccurate? I was like, really toxic in a way. And I'd like to think that I have changed my perspective on that. I changed my outlook in life a lot actually ever since I started working full-time. Is this character development? Maybe, maybe not. But I'm really enjoying Franklin so far. Another historical drama that I've been hearing a lot of good things about is Shogun actually, and I watched the original one a very long time ago. I don't remember when. It must have been maybe 5 or 10 years ago. But yeah, I've been hearing a lot of good things about the new adaptation, so I'm really looking forward to that. I don't know if I'm necessarily in the right mindset to fully appreciate it, because again, I feel like, you know, there's a right timing to appreciate everything that we consume, and I feel like right now, you know, I don't want to watch something if I'm not in the right mindset because I'm just gonna be wasting that. I remember my best friend, she watched Heartstopper while she was doing laundry. Literally, she just had it in the background. I'm like, can you really appreciate it if you just have it in the background while you're doing laundry? I don't know. So yeah, she's I don't think she's a huge fan, to be honest, even though I know it's something that she's absolutely gonna love. But you know, I feel like you have to watch it if you're in the right mindset, if you guys get what I mean. Actually, I do want to really quickly touch on probably a bit of a controversial take, but I really love the Buccaneers, you guys. I'm sorry to all of the Edith Wharton fans. I know it's like not allowed to like this because of how inaccurate it is to the source material. I used to be that guy who's like, how dare they disrespect the source material, but I realized how toxic that mindset was. And I definitely changed because I think now I have grown to appreciate adaptations, because I don't think I want everything to be exactly the same as the source material, because I think it's just boring to me. And I really enjoy the Buccaneers. This is probably a long overdue conversation, because that show came out last year. And I really enjoyed it. I probably watched it when I was in the right mindset. I really needed something more, I want to say lighthearted and whimsical, but that show also touched on some really serious things. But I really appreciated the lighthearted, free-spirited, I should say, rebellious nature of the characters. And I'm bringing this up because I'm actually rewatching it with my best friend. She saw the trailer and she really wanted to watch it, and I was like, you know what, I want to watch this. It's one of my favorite shows of 2023, and I was more than happy to watch it with her, and we're really enjoying it so far. I think we're halfway through the show and we're planning to finish it in a couple of weeks or so, and it has been such a joy to rewatch it. I think I actually like it more the second time. And she also really likes it as well. I'm glad to have a friend that's open about these things like me, because yeah, like I said, I feel like the show has gotten an unfair amount of hate online, but you know, that's I think that's the nature of social media right now. You know, there's a lot of hate and negativity online, which isn't something that I like to dwell into. You know, there's constructive criticism, which is fine, but there's also just hateful comments, which I don't personally appreciate, and I tried to not engage it, which is really hard, because if you go on a forum like Reddit, or even just in the YouTube comments of a show that you like, and if you just want to fanboy on something, it's really hard to separate yourself from all of the negativity, which is really unfortunate. Now that I'm working full-time, it's something that I'm consciously trying to avoid, because I don't want to go into work with like a negative mindset, if you guys get what I mean. That's why you would probably notice me not being online as much, or not engaging with people as much online, because I just have other priorities and I want to conserve my energy where it actually matters, which is my full-time job, because I have more responsibilities now. And looking back, if a show is inaccurate, it's really not that deep. It's a TV show. Some people have war in their countries. That's an America's Next Top Model references, by the way. Apparently there's a thing called the fidelity discourse. I just heard this recently from a video on the Vanity Fair YouTube channel, where they had a mythology expert review historically inaccurate TV shows and movies based on like Greek mythology and stuff like that. And apparently the nature of stories is that it's constantly changing. As culture gets influenced by other cultures, stories change. And I actually really agree with it, and I highly suggest that video because I think it's very insightful. But anyway, enough of my personal rant about the negativity on social media. For the interior of this house, actually, I did go for something that's very formal, a lot of dark woods. Also, I limited my use of mods for this build as well. So you should be able to move in here and it should be completely playable. I did learn a lot from working with EA when I did a build for them for high school years, because apparently it's a lot more apparently it takes a lot more processing power for the Sims to figure out the routing if you have so many items close together. So I tried to space out the items in a kind of vanilla-esque kind of way. so that it'll be a little bit easier for the Sims to move around. You'll notice that this house also has a library slash music room, which I really enjoyed. It's such a luxury in my builds because I usually just have, you know, a living room and I get it over and done with at that point. But I really felt like the Goths would have a grand piano and also a library. So there is one, and there is a main living room, which I'd like to refer to as the drawing room because that just makes it sound so classy. Actually, forgot to mention, about a month ago, I did share a free CC set on Patreon, which was mainly inspired by 19th century Filipino oil painting. Very underrated aspect of our culture, but we have some very talented classical painters out there, and I recreated some of their works in The Sims, and it was really important for me to have that representation. And some of the most important paintings in my country are now in The Sims, so that's pretty cool, I have to say. For the dining room, I just used the same chairs that I used in my previous builds because there's something about those chairs that feel oddly contemporary that I feel like worked with this build, because I know there's a lot of historical references in this build, but I also wanted it to feel contemporary. So maybe the Goth family has been living here for generations. I mean, they've definitely been living here for generations, because if I remember correctly, the original Goth houses in the other Sims games had kind of like their deceased relatives buried in the property, which is a bit morbid from my modern perspective, but it definitely informs me that this family has been living in this house for generations, and I definitely wanted to reference that as well with my choice of furnitures. So there's definitely a mix of antiques and also modern furniture as well. This definitely isn't a historical home. It's a contemporary home with a lot of antiques. Oh, actually for this build, I also used a lot of items from the new Crystal Creations pack. Surprisingly, came with a lot of really good items. Pleasantly surprised actually, because I didn't know that much about the pack before it came out, but as soon as I saw all of the items in game, I really fell in love with them, and I thought they matched with kind of like the Victorian Edwardian aspect that I was going for in this house. I think I also used one item from the castle kit. I forgot what that was called. I think the main door of this house is from that pack. And interestingly, I only used like one window from high school years. It's the one that you can sneak out of. So that's pretty cool. I don't know if it works. I don't think it works actually, the way I placed them. But I thought they looked really cool, very simple, very appropriate for kind of like the more simplistic Second Empire style that I was going for. For this master bedroom, actually it's more of a master suite. It's funny because that's the name of stuff pack in The Sims 3. The laundry stuff pack is called Master Suite in The Sims 3. Anyway, there are a couple of rooms in here. There's the main bedroom. There is also the walk-in closet and the bathroom as well. I don't know why, but I sound out of breath. It's actually really hot right now. I think I might actually talk about something topical for once, but my country is currently going through a heat wave and it is making life so uncomfortable, you guys. I had to learn how to take public transport when I started working last year, and oh my gosh, it's so hard. Wow, first world problems. Yeah, actually I started taking a change of clothes to work because they're making me wear corporate attire, and there's just no way I can take the LRT, which is like the metro where I'm from. There's no way I can take the LRT and still look fresh wearing corporate attire, because yeah, it's just not gonna happen. So I just commute to work wearing a t-shirt, and I would change clothes when I got to work, which is a bit of a hassle because I don't really want to bring like a large backpack with me every day, but I don't really have a choice. I can't take a Grab or a taxi, but with the amount of taxi scams that I've been getting since I started working full-time, I'd rather not go through all of that stress every morning. And Grab is just way too expensive. Grab is like the Southeast Asian Uber. It's just way too expensive for me. There's no way I can take that to work and still be able to, you know, have disposable income. Life is hard. Anyway, yeah, this bathroom's very interesting because it has symmetrical counters on either side of the bathtub. I think this is the only build where I did this layout. But you know, there's a couple of quirky things in this house. You'll notice that the second floor is actually a taller wall height than the ground floor, which is very, very unusual for me. Usually it would be the other way around. Also, the main door, or the front door, is facing the side, which is another little quirky thing. But moving on to Cassandra's bedroom. Is her name Cassandra? It's been a while since I've looked at the Goth house. It's been a while since I've looked at the Goth family, but actually I did not know this, but they actually updated the Goth family. Like, when was this a thing? Because I was gonna give them makeovers so that, you know, they would look aesthetically in line with this house, and I was like, this isn't the original Goth family, right? I don't know when they updated that actually. Just goes to show how much I play the game, which is never. Especially in the past year, it's, you know, I literally have not touched my PC in like months when I started working full time. So yeah, I remember, I think it was especially around the time when Horse Ranch came out. It was probably the longest time I haven't played The Sims in like literal years. But yeah, I was slightly surprised when I found out that they gave the Goth family a makeover, because yeah, I never noticed. I'm so bad. So yeah, this is Cassandra's room. She did originally have a very, let's just say, hot pink room, which wasn't my aesthetic. So I just decided to go for more muted colors, a little bit of purple accents. I felt like that kind of captured her personality, I think. And I also went for a more of an astrological theme for her room as well, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. For Alexander's room, is he Alexander? I'm forgetting their names. I'm so bad at this, you guys. I never really look at the cast that much. I only really look at the clothes. I don't really make Sims anymore. When The Sims 4 came out, I had a period where I made a lot of Sims, you know, but yeah, not anymore. I just, you know, I'm a builder, you know, I'm not a Sims, I don't know what you call those people who make like Sims, you know, households, makeovers, I don't know. Anyway, Alexander's room, I'm using that beautiful wallpaper that came with the Crystal Creations one. And there's also a telescope in here which isn't functional because the telescopes need to be outside for some reason. So yeah, that's just a decorative piece right there. But for his room, I decided to go for more of an astronomical theme. I actually have my notes here with me, and I was like, make sure to properly differentiate between astrological and astronomical, because those are two completely different things. So yeah, Cassandra's room is more astrological, Alexander's room is more astronomical, and his room originally was located on the attic, or like the tower level of the Goth house. So yeah, I kind of referenced that with this kind of like game room, secret lab kind of thing. So yeah, that is kind of like the attic section, or like the tower section of this house as well. And yeah, we're now moving on to the backyard area, which, as you can see, I definitely made sure to include a graveyard, you know, because I feel like it's something that's very iconic with the previous Goth houses, that unfortunately wasn't included in The Sims 4. Like I said, I think it's probably because we didn't have ghosts in the original Sims release. It's funny because The Sims 4, I think, is so heavily reliant on updates that when they first started doing this, it was a completely new concept to me that I made videos specifically on Sims 4 updates, because this wasn't a thing in the Sims 3 and Sims 2 days. You know, when you got a game, it was in its complete form. You know, there might be some very, very minor updates. I remember when The Sims 2 originally released, you didn't have neighborhood view. If you're in a lot, you can see like what the surroundings look like. That got updated or patched in later versions of the game. But The Sims 4 just has so many updates that I have lost track of them. But I did make videos on those initial updates when they added ghosts and also pools as well. Yeah, I also used a tree from Journey to Batu in this build, so just please keep that in mind. Some items might be missing because I don't know how many people have Journey to Batu, to be completely honest. But yeah, that one tree out back is from that pack. But yeah, it looks like that is going to be it for this build actually, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up right here. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'm definitely planning to talk more about my personal life in these videos because I really enjoy doing this. So yeah, that is going to be it for this build. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. You all have an awesome, awesome, awesome day. Enjoy the rest of the video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.